They say beauty is only skin deep, but what about truth? What about trauma? What about healing, purpose, and power? Welcome to Skin Deep, a sacred space where we peel back the layers, speak the unspeakable, and remember who we were before the world told us who to be. I'm your host, Kiara Charles, truth seeker, generational curse breaker, and bloodline recalibrator. Let's begin. They say it takes a village to raise a child, but what if that village harms the child? Where does the child turn? Growing up in a black family, everybody living at grandma's house wasn't something that was deemed unusual. And unfortunately for me, it wasn't something that was unusual in this environment to be sexually abused in either. I was about 5 or 6 years old the first time I experienced trauma. My uncle, who I later found out had been adopted into our family, started to groom me and physically abuse. And I was scared. I felt shrunken, even though I was already physically small. Every chance he got alone with me, he took it. He tortured me. He haunted me. He molested me. I was a caged bird, and this went on for years. What started as a trauma turned into shame. What turned into shame became silence. And that silence, that was the part that made me feel like I didn't even exist. Eventually we moved, and I thought I was safe. I must have been around 10 or 11. Not long after, he convinced my mom to let him move in with us. I know. How? Why? Because that's what predators do. They stay close to their prey. And just like that, I was a caged bird again. Any chance he got, he took it. And every time I disappeared a little more. He finally left when I was around 12. Told me he didn't need me anymore. Imagine that. I was getting too old, he said. I remember the feeling. Uncomfortable, embarrassed, hopeless, angry, but most of all, empty. He took my innocence away from me, and it was nothing for him, and it was everything for me. And still, I couldn't speak. My voice stayed silent, and that silence became rage. Not at him, but at myself. I had the logic. I had the language, but I was frozen. And I stayed frozen for years. I didn't think I could ever escape, but I did. Not without trials, not without tests, but I made it out. And this wound, it shaped me. For a long time, I thought it defined me. But now, I create the definition of who I am. Because God liberated me to do so. In truth, in creativity, in authenticity, in sovereignty. The first time I ever told this story, I was 16. I told my boyfriend. And we were watching something on TV that mirrored my experience, and then suddenly, boom. All the repressed memories came flooding back. I started crying uncontrollably. He looked at me and asked what's wrong. And I told him, raw, unfiltered, all of it. And he just held me. He didn't flinch. He didn't run. He stayed. And that was the first time that I could remember feeling safe. That's what this wound cost me. It cost me safety. It cost me security. It cost me worthiness, peace, and love. And maybe most painfully, a deeper relationship with my mother. For a long time, I blamed her. I felt abandoned, unprotected. She was supposed to keep me safe, and she didn't. But healing taught me something else. It taught me that we all carry pain, and there's a sacredness in facing it. Healing showed me that I wasn't mad at my mom. I was mad at a version of her that I created in my mind, a version of her that I wanted her to be. And healing taught me this too. I can accept her for who she is, even the parts she hides from herself. Because this version is beautiful too. I love you. And I hope you can forgive yourself enough to love you too. This wound, it took my childhood years. It made me hyper independent, hyper aware, hyper vigilant. There's still a version of me that stays on alert, even when I'm laughing, even when I'm loved. But healing means gently reminding my inner child that she's safe, even if she doesn't believe it yet. So, if that resonated with you, here's something sacred you can try. The next time you feel yourself tightening up, even in the moment that you should feel safe, place your hand over your heart, take a slow, deep breath, and whisper, I see you. You don't have to disappear to be loved. You are safe now. You don't have to believe it fully. You just have to offer it. And that's how the reparenting begins. And I'll say that this wound, it wasn't all bad, because it did give me something. It gave me the gift of knowing. Knowing that what it tried to take from me, God gave me back multiplied. It gave me a mirror. It gave me a map, a message. And now I see the beauty of why God created me. To feel it, to face it, to free it, for others too. So, before we close, I want to share a poem I wrote. It's called For Misused Girls. This was written for a girl I used to be, and for every woman who's ever had to carry silence in her bones. This is my offering. This is for her. Suffocated by the traditional woes of the world. This is for that little girl. Forced to grow up too quickly like a whirlwind, he made her world spin, placing a grave affliction on her pure skin. And this is for that little girl, confused and kept quiet. Being fed an unknown diet, she was starved to silence. Her voice stripped from her so she can remain compliant. This is for that little girl who cried in her sleep because peace was absent in the waking and absent in her dreams. And even when she was alone, she could relive every scene because he took over her mind and invaded her body. This is for that little girl trying to hold on to her soul, forced to say yes when her heart said no, thinking God never existed because how could he possibly know what she was going through and just let it go. This is for that little girl who lost all hope. She was convinced she was being punished because she couldn't see through God's telescope. It was broken and God hadn't spoken to her in years. This is for that little girl who couldn't be read. God was so absent she thought for sure he was dead. Confused because she knew he never accept defeat. But she couldn't hear him. Satan was so loud, confessing he had tricks up his sleeve. And this is for her mother, who found out when it was too late. Now this burden too became her weight. Now her daughter was an open book she could translate, but she still couldn't read it. She couldn't even see straight. Being so blind to it all made her heart break. This is for her mother, who never forgave herself for another man's sin, and Now this battle her daughter fought, she must fight it again, taking control on her own. This is a battle she can't win, because the consuming evil of this misfortune is settling in. This is for her mother, who forgot God was the author. She lost all her faith, empty with nothing to offer but a broken oath, saying, God, why my daughter? This is for the mother, strong enough to read this aloud. For finally she understood the reason this happened to the child. She gained the revelation. She could finally smile, and because that quiet little voice in her grew to be so loud. This is for me. God turned my test into a testimony, in his plan that one day my mess would be a message for those listening. He made sure I would see that there was triumph in my trial, and being a victim gave me the victory. This is for me, for finally being able to see that it was him who held on to me, and he was the reason I cried in my sleep, reminding me that there is purpose to my pain, and I have royalty piercing through my veins. And this is for all the mothers and their daughters who have endured so much. Remember, nothing can break you when God is the crutch. That poem is for me, and for every woman who never got to tell their story or didn't survive long enough to reclaim it. This journey is not easy. It's not linear, but it's working, and it's necessary. You don't have to be polished to be powerful. You just have to be real. So I leave you with this. What if your freedom is waiting behind your most painful story? Thank you for going deep with me. If this episode moves something in you, breathe with it, cry with it, sit with it, share it. And remember, you were never too much. You were just never given enough room. Until next time, stay rooted in love and wrapped in grace.